Two colossal predators ruled the prehistoric world with fear and force, but only one was king. Stay with me to learn about these dinosaurs. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into one of the most exciting matchups in the world of paleontology: Tyrannosaurus rex versus Giganotosaurus. These two prehistoric giants have captured our imaginations for decades, starring in documentaries, video games, and countless debates among dinosaur fans. But beyond the hype, what were these animals actually like? How did they hunt? How did they move? And what made each one a truly unique apex predator? In other words, what were the real differences that separated these titans of the Cretaceous? In this video, we're going to break down the fascinating distinctions between these two dinosaurs, exploring everything from their anatomy and environment to their hunting strategies and evolutionary histories. We'll look at what fossil evidence actually tells us, not just what pop culture assumes, and uncover the surprising truths that make each dinosaur remarkable in its own right. So whether you're a seasoned dino nerd or just someone who enjoys learning about the wild history of our planet, this is a journey you won't want to miss. Let's start with the question everyone always asks first. Which one was bigger? The answer is more nuanced than it seems. While both were enormous, their builds were dramatically different. Giganotosaurus was longer, with some estimates putting it around 40 to 43 feet in length. T-Rex, on the other hand, typically measured about 38 to 40 feet long, but length doesn't tell the whole story. Tyrannosaurus was far more robust. Its bones were thicker, its torso was barrel-shaped, and it carried far more muscle mass overall. This difference in build tells us a lot about their lifestyles. Giganotosaurus was built for relatively high-speed pursuits, with a long, lean body resembling a scaled-up version of Allosaurus. T-Rex, meanwhile, was a powerhouse, dense, compact, and optimized for delivering immense force. Imagine comparing a long-distance runner to a heavyweight boxer. Both are powerful, but in entirely different ways, and these distinctions become even clearer when we look at their skulls and jaws. Giganotosaurus had a long, narrow skull with blade-like teeth designed for slashing through flesh. Think of it as a biological machete. Its bite force was strong, but not extraordinary by theropod standards. Scientists estimate it at around 6,000 pounds per square inch. Impressive, but nowhere near the monstrous power of T-Rex. Tyrannosaurus rex had the strongest bite force of any terrestrial animal in Earth's history, somewhere around 8,000 to 12,000 pounds per square inch. Its teeth weren't blades, they were thick, serrated cones built like railroad spikes. These teeth could crush bone, and we know that because we've found T-Rex bite marks in fossils of Triceratops and Hadrosaurs, where the bone was literally punctured or shattered. This suggests very different feeding behaviors. Giganotosaurus likely used hit-and-run tactics, slicing deep wounds into large prey and letting blood loss and exhaustion do the rest. T-Rex, however, could wrestle prey head-on, deliver bone-crunching bites, and consume every part of a carcass, including marrow-rich bone fragments. In a way, Giganotosaurus was the surgeon, while T-Rex was the demolition crew. Now let's talk brains. Always a fun topic when comparing these two. T-Rex had an exceptionally large brain for a dinosaur, especially in the areas dedicated to smell and vision. Its olfactory bulbs were enormous, suggesting a sense of smell that rivals or surpasses modern vultures and wolves. Studies also suggest T-Rex had binocular vision, giving it depth perception comparable to modern birds of prey. In fact, its visual acuity may have been several times sharper than a hawk's. Giganotosaurus, in contrast, had a smaller, more streamlined brain. It wasn't unintelligent, but sensory evidence suggests it relied more on speed, size, and coordination than on the heightened sensory suite that T-Rex possessed. Its sense of smell was adequate but not extraordinary, and its forward-facing vision wasn't nearly as developed. In a contest of sensory power, T-Rex wins by a landslide. Let's shift from the head to the rest of the body. Giganotosaurus had long legs relative to its size, and is estimated to have been capable of speeds up to 30 miles per hour. For an animal weighing several tons, that's astonishing. Its lightweight frame and wide stride length helped it cover ground efficiently, which makes sense considering it likely hunted large, fast-moving herbivores such as the enormous Argentinosaurus. Tyrannosaurus, due to its massive weight, was slower, probably topping out around 20 miles per hour. But this doesn't mean it was clumsy or sluggish. Biomechanical studies show that T-Rex had incredibly strong leg muscles and could maintain high levels of stamina. Its step was powerful and efficient, allowing it to pursue prey over long distances without tiring quickly. While Giganotosaurus had speed, T-Rex had endurance. These physical differences shaped their hunting strategies. Giganotosaurus lived in what's now Patagonia, a region filled with some of the largest land animals to ever walk the earth. Herds of massive titanosaurs roamed the region. To hunt such giants, Giganotosaurus likely worked in loosely coordinated groups, not pack hunting in the modern wolf sense, but perhaps opportunistic cooperation. Its slashing teeth and long reach were perfect for inflicting repeated wounds on huge prey without getting too close to danger. Tyrannosaurus rex, meanwhile, lived in North America, where its prey included Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, and other well-armored or agile herbivores. Its hunting style was much more direct. Fossil evidence suggests T-Rex engaged prey head-on, delivering massive crushing bites capable of disabling vital body parts quickly. It may have hunted alone or in family groups, but either way, its bite and senses made it an extremely efficient predator. While Giganotosaurus was slicing and wearing down prey, T-Rex was overwhelming it with devastating force. Ah yes, the iconic tiny arms. No T-Rex discussion is complete without them. Surprisingly, Giganotosaurus actually had slightly larger arms, though still small in proportion to its body. But what many people don't know is that T-Rex arms, despite their size, were incredibly strong, potentially capable of lifting over 400 pounds each. They were heavily muscled and built like grappling hooks, possibly used to hold onto struggling prey. Giganotosaurus arms were longer but more lightly built. They likely played a minor role in hunting. In both cases, the jaws were the ultimate weapons, but T-Rex had more power concentrated in its forelimbs, even if they looked comically small. Where an animal lives also shapes how it evolves. T-Rex roamed a semi-tropical region filled with dense forests, rivers, coastal plains, and open woodlands. This environment favored predators with strong senses and robust builds, capable of wrestling heavily armored prey. Giganotosaurus, however, lived in a much more open environment, with broad floodplains and dry forests. These landscapes supported massive sauropod populations. With more open space and massive prey, long-distance travel and speed became much more important. Giganotosaurus evolved accordingly, long-legged, long-skulled, and optimized for covering ground. One of the biggest misconceptions is that T-Rex and Giganotosaurus lived at the same time. They didn't. Giganotosaurus lived around 98 million years ago during the mid-Cretaceous. Tyrannosaurus lived roughly 66 million years ago at the very end of the Cretaceous. That's a 30 million year gap, longer than the time between humanity's earliest ancestors and the present day. Not only were they separated by time, but also by continents. Finally, let's talk about why one dinosaur is far more famous. T-Rex has dominated popular culture for over a century, from early museum exhibits to Hollywood blockbusters. Giganotosaurus, meanwhile, is only recently gaining mainstream recognition. But scientifically, both offer incredible insights into apex predator evolution. They represent two different evolutionary experiments in creating giant carnivores. Now, before we wrap up, let's dig into some myths and misconceptions that often cloud discussions about these two dinosaurs. One of the most common myths is that T-Rex was primarily a scavenger because it had such a powerful sense of smell. But modern research strongly contradicts this. Just because an animal has a great sense of smell doesn't mean it relies solely on carrion. Think about wolves, hyenas, or bears. Excellent scavengers, yes, but also formidable hunters. T-Rex was likely similar, Another misconception concerns Giganotosaurus, often portrayed as an unstoppable giant that dwarfed every other carnivore. While it was undoubtedly massive, it wasn't the heaviest or strongest predator ever. Its strength came from its speed, reach, and the ability to fight as part of a coordinated group. This paints a more realistic picture than the over-the-top movie monster image that sometimes appears in popular media. Another fascinating difference lies in their growth patterns. T-Rex grew incredibly fast during its teenage years, packing on hundreds of pounds annually in what scientists call a growth spurt. This may have given it an advantage in territorial disputes and hunting dominance. Young T-Rexes were more slender and agile, almost like entirely different animals compared to the bulky adults. Giganotosaurus, while growing large, did so at a steadier pace. It didn't experience the sudden explosive growth of T-Rex. This suggests it lived differently as a juvenile, possibly targeting smaller prey before growing into the massive hunter adults were known to be. Another point worth exploring is the fossil evidence itself. We have far more T-Rex fossils than Giganotosaurus fossils. This doesn't necessarily mean T-Rex was more common. It largely reflects where paleontologists have been digging. Because of this imbalance, we know much more about T-Rex biology, behavior, and variation. Giganotosaurus, by contrast, is known for more limited material. As new discoveries emerge, our understanding of it could shift dramatically. Looking at each dinosaur within its ecosystem adds one more layer of contrast. T-Rex lived during a time with fast-evolving herbivores, armored dinosaurs, and a wide variety of smaller predators. Giganotosaurus filled a similar apex role, but its world looked very different, dominated by giant sauropods whose size alone shaped predator evolution. There's also the question of behavior. While we can't observe these animals directly, bone beds and trackways give us clues. Some evidence hints that young T-Rexes may have lived and hunted near older adults, possibly forming loose family groups. This wouldn't be a structured pack like wolves, but rather a cooperative dynamic similar to modern crocodilians. For Giganotosaurus, a famous bone bed containing multiple individuals suggests group interaction. Whether this represents a social structure or simply a gathering at a carcass is still debated, but it adds a layer to their story and hints at behavior patterns we may uncover. So what have we learned today? Tyrannosaurus rex and Giganotosaurus were both magnificent predators, but they succeeded in different ways. T-Rex was a bone-crushing, sensory-driven powerhouse built for endurance and precision. Giganotosaurus was a long, agile, slash-and-run hunter that dominated wide-open environments filled with gigantic prey. Each dinosaur represents a unique answer to the same evolutionary question. How do you become the top predator of your world? If you enjoyed this deep dive into prehistoric life, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us which dinosaur you think is more interesting and why. Your engagement helps us bring more fascinating science content to people around the world. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the ancient wonders of our planet.